Hey, what's going on everyone? This time I'm looking at the Master Grade MSN 00100 Hyaku Shiki version 2.0. Yep, this kit, despite coming out a decade later, is supposed to line up with the Mark II 2.0 and the Zeta 2.0. I'm really curious to see just how much improvement Bandai's made over this decade-long gap. Now I'll be reviewing this Master Grade Hyaku Shiki in 4 categories: the build, the appearance, the articulation, and the gimmicks. I'll give each a score from 1 to 5, and at the end I'll tally everything up for an average score. Hopefully this review can help you decide if this kit is right for you. Part 1. The build. With there being a decade-long gap between this and the previous 2.0 Zeta Master Grades, the engineering of this kit is completely revamped. You'll notice the inner frame is much more thorough than the Mark II or the Zeta. Literally every part of this kit is supported by some kind of inner frame. The actual engineering of the frame is amazing too. In the anime, the Hyaku Shiki was a failed attempt at making a transforming mobile suit, and Bandai actually seemed to have carried over that mentality to this model kit. This is most noticeable in the legs, where you can actually bend them just like you would a Zeta Gundam. You'll also notice that all the red and gray spots are actual molded pieces as well, no paint required. Now for the big question, the gold. The Hyaku Shiki is known for its beam-resistant coating. Most of the time, Bandai just plates this kit with a mirror-like gold, but it's at the expense of really noticeable nubs and fingerprints. This time around, they went with more of a painted gold, or at least I think it's paint. I mean, really I'm not sure what this gold is. It doesn't flake nearly as bad as plated gold, but it has a much duller finish and seems to scratch much easier. Despite this kit being coated, there are surprisingly few bad nubs. The bulk of this kit is undergated, so all the bad nubs end up on the inside of the pieces. The only standout bad nubs for me are on the wing binders and the wrist. Now back to the wing binders for a sec. They have the only stickers on this kit outside of the token eye and camera lenses. They're these little black squares. It's weird Bandai went with stickers for them when the rest of this kit has inner frame poking through. All in all, I say this is more of an intermediate build. I wouldn't recommend this kit to a beginner because you sort of need to know how to handle an undergated kit, and the build for the inner frame can be a little complex in places. But again, this was a failed transforming mobile suit, so it's nowhere near as complicated as the Zeta 2.0. I'll give the build for this kit a 4.5 out of 5. Part 2. The appearance. Out of the gate you'll notice how slendered up this kit is. I mean, the Hyaku Shiki's always been a sleeker design, but this may be a little too much. I mean, the legs are really long. You could call this a version Katoki kit, and I wouldn't be able to prove you wrong. Having said that, once you get this guy into an action pose, you really don't care that much. This guy was made for dynamic action poses. The duller gold for this kit is also surprisingly good. I've always found that the more reflective gold used on other kits tend to sort of muddy up the silhouette or sort of overload your eyes, if that makes any sense. I feel the duller gold of this kit makes its action poses more defined. The inner frame also has a bit of a metallic shine to it, which looks fantastic. The standard red is also really dark. It matches the duller gold perfectly. You get 2 sets of decals for this kit. First is a set of dry transfer model numbers and symbols, including the iconic Hyaku kanji for the shoulders. I love that it's dry transfer, because peel and stick stickers look really bad on this gold. Speaking of peel and stick, the second sheet of decals for this kit are the usual peel and stick caution signs. Overall, I'm kinda split on the appearance of this kit. On one hand, the colors are amazing. On the other, the proportions are way too slender for me. All this considered, I think I'll give the appearance of this kit a 4 out of 5. That sounds about fair. It's above average, but it could have been done a little better. Part 3. The articulation. As usual, let's start with the feet. The toes can move down, but not too much. They can kinda move up a little bit, like 5 degrees. The ankles are on that weird ball mechanism that you got with the new Gundam. It works really well, you get all the movement you want. The top of the ankle is on a hinge, and you can see this piston actually moves too. For the knee, you get almost a 180-degree bend. This kit has the newer style Master Grade hips, so you get all the movement you could want. There's actually a weird mechanism that allows you to pull the legs down? I'm not really sure what it's used for. The skirt armor functions exactly how you would expect. The waist is connected to the chest via a ball joint, which you get a little bit of movement out of, but not too much. The actual chest has a great bend forward. The arms can pop out a little more than a 45-degree angle. The shoulder armor can pop up pretty well, and this side hatch can move pretty well. The arm has the usual 180-degree spin at the top. The actual elbow gets you close to a 180-degree bend. It's really helped by this extra little hinge on the wrist that allows you to move forward and backwards. The wrists are on ball joints, and the hands feature independent moving fingers. They're not quite as thorough as a motion manipulators like you'll find on the new Gundam or RX-78 3.0, but you can still pose them pretty much however you want to. The head is on a ball joint and a hinge, so you get a lot of great movement with it forwards and backwards, but not much side to side. Now onto the backpack. The wing binders are on a swivel here, and a kind of ball joint? It's kind of hard to describe, but basically you can put them in any pose you want. Forward, backward, sideways, spin, they can pretty much do everything. The wing binder fins themselves can actually move up and down too. The articulation on this kit is amazing. It's almost too good in some places, and can be a little hard to line everything up perfectly. But of all the problems for a Gundam model kit to have, being too posable isn't the worst one. I'll give the articulation of this kit a perfect 5 out of 5. Part 4. The gimmicks. Now, the Hyaku Shiki didn't have the largest arsenal, but this master grade still comes with everything you need. As usual, the first up is the beam rifle. I like how you get the same metallic shine as the inner frame. Since there is both a peg in the hands and a peg in the handle, this guy has absolutely no problem holding the rifle up. Next are the beam sabers. They have sort of a bad nub on them, but thankfully they're either in his hand or on the back skirt, so it's never really on display. The blades themselves are a nice yellow. It's always nice to see beam sabers in colors other than pink. The third and final weapon is the clay bazooka. He can hold it just fine, but you have to put the arm at a really awkward angle, so I normally just keep it on the backpack instead. The ammo pack is detachable and actually has some missiles inside. Now for the gimmicks of the actual suit. Well, outside of the gold plating, there's only one. The interchangeable eyes. Yeah, you get 3 sets of eyes for this kit. The first, and the one I use, is the all-black set. The second set has red eyes, and the third set are sort of scanning eyes. You can pop off the top of the head and change them out pretty easily. It's really simple and adds some character to this kit. One thing you won't find with this kit is the Mega Bazooka launcher. Yeah, that was saved for a premium Bandai release of this kit. I mean, that's sort of a dick move on Bandai's part, but this is also a plated kit, so it's expensive enough as it is. But I digress. The gimmicks on this kit are fairly standard, and everything works about how you would expect. There's no real glaring flaws, really, but also there's nothing that really wows me, you know? I'll give the gimmicks of this kit a solid 4 out of 5. It's definitely above average, but it's nothing fantastic. And finally, it's time for the verdict. Time to tally everything up for an average score. The build was a 4.5 out of 5. The gold coating doesn't present as many issues as the usual gold plating, especially since most of this kit is undergated. It is prone to scratching though, and there are a few bad nubs here or there. The appearance was a 4 out of 5. This kit is just way too slender for my taste, but it looks great in an action pose and the colors are fantastic. The gold is also surprisingly good, since it doesn't overload the eyes like a more reflective gold plating. The articulation was a perfect 5 out of 5. It's almost too posable. I mean, every part of this kit has above average movement, so you can really put this guy in some dynamic action poses. Lastly, the gimmicks, which received a solid 4 out of 5. This version 2.0 comes with everything you would expect. The rifle and beam sabers look great, and the clay bazooka looks good stored on the backpack, but there's nothing that really stands out to me. Tallying all that up and dividing, you get an average score of 4.375, but I'd round that up to a 4.4. In terms of a percentage, it receives an 87.5%. That puts this just above the Zeta Gundam 2.0 and just below the Mark II version 2.0. That's a good hierarchy in my opinion. This Hyaku Shiki is all around an above average kit, and unlike the Zeta 2.0, has no real serious flaws. However, I don't think it's quite as well rounded as the Mark II 2.0. Still, this is a fantastic master grade. The build was fun and the articulation was phenomenal. Well, that wraps up my review of the master grade Hyaku Shiki version 2.0, and I guess it also wraps up my reviews of the lead suits from Zeta Gundam. Let me know if you have any questions about this kit. Also, feel free to recommend more Gundams for me to review, and I'm more than happy to help out. Alright, see you next time. Thanks for watching.